Hello and welcome to the Chrissie Mayer podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes right now, please go and leave a 5-star review. For example, here's a great review from Brent Wears Crocs. Dang, this podcast is sweet, but she doesn't even like Mountain Dew that much, but she's hella based. So rock on, brother. She's super great though. Listens to so well, and it's not afraid to say the funny stuff you wish you would say out loud. Well, could have used a little bit of an editor there, but appreciate the review nonetheless. Thank you so much, Brent Wears Crocs. This episode is brought to you by Cushy Dreams. I don't know where my mind is today. Cushy Dreams. They are my go-to for CBD products. Guys, they specialize in luxury pre-roll joints and extraordinary smokable flower. If you guys are looking to, deal with your anxiety in a different way this year in 2021, hell, we're all anxious over something. I highly recommend Cushy Dream CBD products. I really like the joints because I just take a couple pulls and within like 5 to 10 minutes, probably less, I feel my mind is relaxed, my body is relaxed. And it's nice because like as a former, frequent weed smoker, it gives you that nice relaxation without, going to lunch, without, you got to eat a bag of Doritos. No, just me. Cushy Dreams has so many different indica sativa blends for whatever you're craving, whatever you're feeling. These different blends, as you can see here on their website, they're called Dream, Create, Energy, Hustle, Relax, Peace. Very slick marketing. Definitely give them a try. Go to cushydreams.com. Check them out. Use the promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off of your whole order plus free shipping. Guys, guess what? I have some dates coming up. I'm going to be doing stand-up in a city near you. That's right. March 20th, I'm going to be back with the comedians of the compound at Tiff's Ale House in Morris Plains, New Jersey. Then I'm heading to Florida. April 30th, the Black Box Theater in Boca Raton. Or is it Boca Raton? I never know. May 1st, the Lake Park Black Box Theater in Palm Beach. May 2nd, Side Splitters in Tampa. May 7th and 8th, the Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, Wisconsin. May 9th, Oklahoma City. That's the Bricktown Comedy Club. And then to all my Texas peeps, I'm coming back to Austin with Comedians of the Compound May 14th and 15th. Then Zanies in Nashville, May 18th. Stand Up Live in Huntsville, Alabama, May 19th. And then Hilarities in Cleveland, Thursday, June 3rd. And if I didn't mention your city, tweet at me, comment at me, let me know, because I'm looking to be all up over this country this year doing stand-up. Want to shout out our other sponsor really quick. And they are, of course, Lucy Nicotine. Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck. These products were researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine. Where is my mind today? A nicotine gum that has 4 milligrams of nicotine in it. Wintergreen, cinnamon, pomegranate, so many great flavors. I've tried them all. They're delish. They also have a 4 milligram lozenge in a cherry ice flavor. I haven't tried that yet, but it's heading its way to my apartment. These products are discreet, convenient. They can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, on the go, even in the gym. It's 2021, guys. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip. If you guys are still dipping, I don't care if you're even a professional baseball player. Dip is disgusting. Ditch the dip, guys. Get you some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. Nobody likes cigarette breath. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each and every month. It's so simple. You don't have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down. And for all my CMP listeners, go to lucy.co. I don't know why I'm out of breath. I think it's because I ran down the stairs. I need to up my cardio. Go to lucy.co. Use the promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges. That's Lucy, LUCY.co. Use the promo code CMP at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer warning. This product it contains nicotine. Nicotine. I need to drink less coffee late at night. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. You know what else is addictive? Savings. Go to lucy.co. Use the promo code CMP. All right. Enough of that. I'm excited. I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast today. I've been kind of a fan from a distance for a while. And he's got a really interesting story. He's a very bright young man. Here I go sounding like his aunt again. He's the co-host of the No Mercy podcast. He's also the head guy of operations over at 4 Deep Media, 4 Deep Bets. It's a whole conglomerate. We're going to hear all about it. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ben Jammin.
Hey, thanks, Chrissie. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's so interesting how I came to know about you because as we were talking about before we hit record, I'm kind of new to the conspiracy world. Like my sort of red pilling only really started slowly and then all at once, kind of culminating in a trip to LA last March where I met Sam Tripoli and then afterwards was introduced to Tommy G, who you guys do the podcast together. And I kind of admired the way Tommy would pick apart these conspiracy theories. And I really got into listening to No Mercy and I was involved. I may or may not, who knows, be responsible for his banning from Twitter because over the summer, I had my own little exciting moment where I tweeted out, as a lot of you may know, about Chrissie Teigen and her deleting tens of thousands of tweets. And that tweet of mine, she ended up responding to. And it kicked off this like massive purging of anybody even remotely associated, even talking about QAnon, which Tommy G was a victim of. Right. So I want to know, how did you, get paired up with Tommy G? How did you get involved with the No Mercy podcast? We can kind of start there because you have a very interesting backstory for sure.
Well, cutting to, I guess, the middle of my backstory, at a time when I was running a DFS website called Daily Roto Sharks, me and my co-founder, CG, and Tommy actually had his own daily fantasy sports website called Guru Elite. And so we were competitors in the same industry, and we started actually talking to each other through the support of Ron Paul. And so I was a Ron Paul libertarian. We would DM each other occasionally as two of the few people in our industry that leaned to the right. And so it was kind of a natural companionship. And
in the gambling industry?
In the daily fantasy sports industry, I'm not sure so much of the broader gambling industry, but at least in what we would call like the tout industry, the people who provide content, the people who are out there, their face on video, writing articles. It leans a little bit to the left, in a similar way that the creative arts kind of lean to the left in certain ways. So we found a bond through that, and we lean to the right a little bit. And that's kind of where we formed our partnership and our bond and grew to the relationship that we have now, which is creating this kind of organization for people who have been kicked off all different kinds of platforms and still kind of lean to the right, even though we are fully accepting of everyone.
Yeah. and actually accepting, not just saying unity, peace, love, and then just being calling for violence of anybody.
Right. Truly... we're very promotional of free speech and, do what you want as long as you don't hurt anybody else kind of philosophy.
Yeah, and you have such an interesting background because you were like this whiz kid into fantasy sports. You were the founder of Daily Fantasy Sports, and you were like only in your 20s, like your early 20s.
Yeah, so I've definitely traveled a bumpy road, and I started off, working in restaurants my whole life, bussing tables, waiting tables, bartending, managing, essentially everything but owning a restaurant. And so while I was working in restaurants, working in 2 or 3 at a time, crazy hours all the time, I found this industry called Daily Fantasy Sports. And if you've heard of it, it's, FanDuel and DraftKings and these fantasy sports you can bet on daily, depending on what games are on that night. And so around that time in 2014, I was gathering baseball data from, MLB, just taking it from this side and that side and aggregating it together onto one spreadsheet and creating rankings and projections and ratings for all these different players. And we were putting it out for free on Twitter, and it got so popular and helped so many people win a lot of money that they basically just started begging us to charge for it. So we put this information behind a paywall. We created a business and we ran it for about 4 years. It was called Daily Roto Sharks. So if you're familiar with the industry. And then I actually went back to school to take courses in computer programming and web development. And while I was there at Farmingdale State College, I created one of the first 3D printing college clubs in the entire country. And so I received funding from the state, from the school. I had my own classroom with my name on it. I was the only student to have so. I had a whole lab of 3D printers in the school, and it really opened the door for me. And I started getting recruited by military defense contractors.
How did that happen? Like, how does it?
It's wild.
You know what I mean? Like, why would they be interested? I mean, it seems like you definitely have a brain for numbers, for statistics. Like it seems like, anybody who gets into fantasy sports, and the fact that you're for free, just for fun, putting together like sheets and sheets of baseball stats, like you must have a strength for that.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. And fortunately, through the 3D printing club that I was doing, it really opened a lot of doors for me because I would give a lot of lectures. I would take our students to trips and showcases. And I was always the one that our guidance counselors were saying, this is his club. He's the president of it, the creator of it. And so it kind of just opened those doors for me. And I would take tours of military defense contractors because they were starting to implement 3D printing in a lot of their factories. And so they actually wanted to ask me a little bit about the technology that was being introduced because I was studying it very aggressively at the time. And so we had this give and take relationship where I would ask them about what they were doing in their facilities. They would ask me how I think they could implement 3D printing into what they were doing. And so essentially they almost reserved a spot for me once I graduated from school. And there was a company called Curtiss-Wright, which is one of the oldest companies in the entire country. It was founded by the father of naval aviation, Glenn Curtiss, and the fathers of modern aviation, the Wright brothers, and they formed a company called Curtiss-Wright. And I worked there for about 2 years. I started in contracts. I got promoted to being a program manager within 6 months. And for the last year and a half, I ran a product line of actuators, which are essentially the opening and closing of a faucet of a sink in the same way that you would do it on a sink. We would do it through these big valves that were the size of a room that would go on things like nuclear aircraft carriers, submarines, power plants. And we would control the flow of the water and the liquid because when these nuclear reactors would overheat, you would have to cool them down. And so our actuator products were, they would be opened manually, electronically, hydraulically, and there was all these different product lines, and I controlled the main product line there. And so every single actuator that's ever been on a nuclear aircraft carrier, submarine, or power plant in this country came from that company that I was working at for a couple of years.
Wow. So what were they, I guess as much as you can say, like what were they 3D printing, or what were they interested in using it for?
Well, a good modern example now that people will be familiar with is NASA aircraft, like space shuttles. And so there are space shuttles, the outside of space shuttles actually being made with 3D printed material. And so things as crazy as being able to make food or organs with 3D printing.
I'm so suspect of this. Ugh. Yeah. Bill Gates talks about this all the time. And it's like, man, he's just trying to get us to eat bugs. He's just trying to get us to eat like garbage, like fake meat.
I would do horrible on Fear Factor or Survivor, trust me.
Because I'm just not trusting. I see, I don't know, whether they're articles or just like propaganda. Oh, it's 3D printed meat. It's like vegetarian, not even vegan, but like It's not real meat, but it looks like it. It's like, why are they trying to sell us on this so hard right now? It's like, we were fine with our Boca burgers. We're fine with veggie burgers. Like, why do we need, you know what I mean? It just feels like
Right.
too much of a hard
Oh,
sell
listen,
right now.
I'm with you. I'm all against, GMO and chemical and all this different type of substitute that they're trying to do. When I refer to 3D printing food, I'm talking about like chocolates and cakes and candies and that kind of fun stuff. And it's all possible, but at the time, we were doing chocolate, and you would be able to layer different models of chocolate and make these, hearts, and it's just really cool stuff.
Would you ever like 3D print like your dick or anything like that?
Would I? That would require a lot of printing spool, but I think I would make an attempt at it.
That's
But
funny.
I mean, the first day of class in my school, because I had my own 3D printer at home. The first day, I 3D printed a red apple, a plastic red apple, and I brought it to my teacher on the first day of school as a
Aw,
kiss
that's
ass suck
cute.
up. But yeah, no. Well, she was my my guidance counselor who helped me start the entire 3D printing program. So it was like she enjoyed the sentimental value of it.
Wow, that's cute. That's really cool. And then you guys had sex.
Yeah.
So, and I know, I feel like I'm jumping so much all over the place here. Have you always been curious about conspiracy theories? It seems like your mind has the natural strengths of like taking something apart, knowing how things work. It seems like you naturally think outside the box,
Mhm.
see the bigger picture. So when did your like curiosity, and because you have to be into conspiracy theories to do a podcast with Tommy G.
Right. Yeah. I have had very unpopular opinions for a very long time. We'll put it that way. So I really got introduced to this entire, I don't know if you can call it industry, but the perspective, the paradigm of not everything we're being told is true through experiencing 9/11. And so I live in Long Island. My
What
dad
part?
worked in the
Oh wait,
city.
I'm from
Yeah.
Long Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll,
born
we'll,
and
we'll dig
raised.
into that. I'm in Nassau
Okay,
County.
me too. I'm from Rockville Center.
My mom grew up in Rockville Center. I
Oh
grew up in
my
Baldwin, town
God,
over.
Baldwin is like Rockville Center's like slutty little sister.
But yeah, so that's where I grew up in my childhood, and so I actually moved to a town called Carl Place, and it's
Mhm.
a kind of a commuter town right by train stations and stuff. My dad worked in the city. I had a lot of friends, families who worked in the city, and so 9/11 hit myself and my area pretty hard, and I really started looking into it. And once 9/11 was the domino effect for me. And I started looking into
Mm.
all of that, and I found Alex Jones, and Alex Jones took me on as many rabbit holes as my mind can handle. And through Alex Jones, I found Ron Paul, and that kind of got me less conspiratorial, more political. And then as we went along, conspiracies in my mind grew and grew, and politics grew and grew. And eventually, at a certain point, they diverged, and I started realizing that there aren't just conspiracies, there aren't just politics, it's all one and the same. Right. So when you look at the way that we're being ruled by this oligarchy, these people who not just want to control our lives, but do the opposite of what they tell us to do, and keep us under their thumb, keep their boot on our necks, whatever euphemism you want to use. But it was the realization for me. And that was, junior high, middle
Wow.
school ish.
Oh
So
my God.
it
Good
was
for
young.
you. Good for
But
you.
it was very ostracizing in a lot of ways for being involved in that kind of close-knit community. And conspiracy theories aren't always taken the right way when people's lives were lost in 9/11, and I'm questioning it, and I'm asking my friends, families, what do you think really happened? And it doesn't hit the right way when people are so close to it.
Yeah, and even now people have a difficulty hearing about it, especially if they lost somebody. They just don't. It's hard to entertain the thought that this could have been a false flag, and this was an inside job. You're like, well, why did it have to be inside job with my loved one? Like that
Right.
fucking sucks. Like, or why did this false flag cause my loved one to have to then go over to Afghanistan? And then it's
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to pick this stuff apart in a way that makes you like question your life. But
Right, but that
that's
got
what,
me into it.
yeah. Yeah, wow, good for you. So like you're in middle school, high school, people are like, "Ben, come play baseball with us." And you're like, "The globalists."
It wasn't that severe,
Mhm.
but yes, there were a lot of long nights watching Alex Jones documentaries at the time. He was my entry point, and reading people like him and Jordan Maxwell and even David Icke and David Wilcox and kind of all this conspiratorial, alien, dimensional, law of attraction, all these different kinds of metaphysical stories and events really led me to just finding myself and who I thought I was. And my mom's a hippie, my dad's the opposite, total, athlete jock. And so I had kind of both of that growing up. I played sports my whole life in that crowd. And then I was also in the kind of ethereal, esoteric circles as well. And so it was an interesting combination for me. So, I grew up in the crowds of people who went to the parties, but I also talked to the people who would sit at home watching the documentaries because I did both of that.
Otherwise known as the losers. No kidding. What sports
Yeah.
did you
I
play?
was a popular loser, right?
Yeah, you have a
I,
face. Yeah, like
in high school, I played football, basketball, and track.
wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember I was a I was on cross country and then I quit cross country to be a cheerleader and like that really upset and triggered the cross country coach because like he did not see cheerleading as a sport. He saw it as like a much lesser activity. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to keep running. I just want to like wear a skirt and like try to get a boyfriend. And he's like, you're never allowed back on the cross country team. And I was like, good. I hate running.
Nothing wrong with that.
I
And
will
what's
not
funny
be
is I
back.
hate running too, but I was really, really good at track. I was very fast. I just didn't like running. I liked running with a ball in my hands, like basketball or football. But so I got brought up to the varsity team in 8th grade. And when I was there, they wanted me to run all the hurdles and everything and the 400. So every time I would get off the bus, the first event I would run was the 400-meter hurdles, which was one full lap with hurdles on the track. And then I would run a 400, which was another full lap. And then the 4x4, which was another full lap. And I never went to practice. I would go and we would do these things called
What?
Indian runs where you would run around the track and, you would have to run in front and then the person in the back would run in front. And as
And then
soon
they
as we would
steal
get
your
to
land?
the
No.
corner, I would run into the gym, play some basketball.
Okay, so you were just like a freak of nature. You're
I
just
just I
naturally
didn't like
fast.
practicing it. I would just go out there and like run the meets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Do you feel like that background in sports like helped carry you through adulthood in some ways?
Absolutely. I mean, every one of my friends that I've pretty much ever met in my life were from sports or smoking weed. And like one of the two or both, right? Like those are the two things that really bring everyone together for the
Oh
most part.
yeah.
And yeah, I still play flag football every week with a bunch of my childhood friends. And, I grew up doing it. We played softball, throughout the year as well. And it keeps me in shape. It's what I love to do. And, I don't think I'll ever get tired of playing sports.
Yeah, no, I really do feel like it kept me out of the wrong crowds, I guess. Like I was into gymnastics at 9, but like as people who do gymnastics know, you might as well start at 30 years old if you're going to start at 9 because it's
Right.
just too old. Your boobs are kind of like well on their way.
Yeah,
So
you're
um
not allowed to have them there.
you're not allowed to have boobs. Yeah, and then I think I started diving lessons around like 10 or 11 and then I got so disciplined, so dedicated, did it all through college, like 3-hour practices for most of the year. There's no real like seasons unless you're like out on the West Coast or like middle America where it's warmer year round and they have like more platforms, whereas East Coast is more just springboard diving. And it
Mhm.
really like it gave me such a good like backbone of discipline. It just really taught me like, yeah, work hard at something. It really helped me to like not be a pussy and like not give up right away and almost like to the opposite degree. Like even when things are going bad, I just like don't give up.
Good.
So it helped. Yeah, it helped
That's
a lot.
awesome. Yeah, my friends who did swimming, they would wake up 4 a.m. before school. They would do their laps, then they would go after school again. It's such a lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. I miss it too because there's really nothing like it. Like, yeah, you could like get into working out. I would like was into yoga, but there's just nothing like competitive sports. And like, yeah, I've done Spartan races, but I don't know. And that's the thing is like your job and your work and like, of course, like podcasting that fills the hours where it's like, you know, when you're a kid is like the only time you have to like really dedicate to something like that. Oh, I guess I miss it. I guess I miss it more than I thought I did.
You do.
And
Hit up
I
your
was
local LA Fitness.
I should, yeah. And I was a coach for so many years, which was probably the most satisfying like job I've ever had. Like the hours would just like fly by and you have to be so creative. And I had like really kooky methods. Like I would get in trouble too. Like I would dangle these kids off the end of the board, like by their heels. Cause that's what my first diving coach did. It's like to get a little kid comfortable with the idea of doing a back dive. It's like, you just have to hang them upside down for a good while, like 30 seconds maybe, until they're like like they're freaking out at first. And obviously this is a little kid. You can't do this with a 17-year-old guy, you know. It's like you can do this with the 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old. You know, I just stand on the end of the 1 meter and they like, you know, kind of like they about face, like knees to their chest, and it's like almost like they're gonna roll backwards roll into the pool or whatever, but then you just grab them by the ankles, you hold them up over the water, they freak out at first. Obviously I'm not like drowning them, obviously it's just like you're dangling, you know, and you wait till they get kind of comfortable with just being upside down and backwards, and then you just drop them in, and you just keep doing that until eventually they can roll back into a back dive. And I had all these weird tactics, and I remember the officials at the pool, like the head lifeguards or whatever, were like, they so badly wanted to like write me up and get me in trouble because I was just like a weirdo, but nobody ever got hurt on my watch. Nobody ever like hit their head on the board, which is a big deal.
No one ever died. We got this.
No one ever died. Yeah, you're like just swinging kids off the end of the pool, you know, like throwing them into flips and stuff. But I don't know, it felt good to like give these kids like, I don't know.
I think we just rediscovered your passion.
I know. I mean, like I one time did go out for a dive coaching position. I think it was at Pace University, and it was only seasonal. It was like the pay was just like not enough. Maybe it was like, I don't know, like 20 grand or something. And it was just like it was just like so not worth it. It was like I would have needed like a couple other jobs to make it work, but I would have been really good at it. Okay, back to you. Yeah, to watch, you know, so many of your friends and colleagues kind of get banned over the last year or so, and to see the growth of so many different like alternative media apps, like, you know, people growing their own websites. Does that make you excited for the future of alternative media, or are you like, it's like only a matter of time before these new spots get compromised or censored somehow?
Well, I'm entirely supportive of decentralization in general, you know, whether it's money, whether it's social media, land, whatever it is. And so I'm happy about the new sites springing up, you know, Gab, Minds. I mean, even Parler, even though there's some sketchiness around that, but
yeah,
even so, you know, it's good to see attempting being done. And yeah, I prefer that. And the funny thing is I'm just as rowdy on Twitter as any of my other friends or co-hosts or whatever. And they've been banned, and, you know, Tommy's been banned a dozen times, but I've never been banned for some reason. Like, my account gets throttled. So I've been at 15.1 thousand ever since the purge. It doesn't go up, doesn't go down.
No way. I didn't know that was
you
possible.
Can watch 15.1. So it's been there since like
frozen
November or December, 15.1, the exact same. And I know I'm getting the same amount of traction that I was.
Man.
But people tell me all the time they have to refollow me. So people get unfollowed from my account as new people follow, which is insane. But I always look at that, you know, shadowban.eu site that tells you if you've been shadow banned, and mine is always green checks. You're not shadow banned. So everyone calls me a psyop because they're banned and I'm allowed to say whatever I want. But you know, yeah, to go back to circle back around, I think you were part of getting Tommy G banned with the whole Chrissie Teigen saga.
No. Oh my God. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea. Like, all I did was check Social Blade, and I was like, damn, that's a lot of tweets for her to delete. I threw it out there, and what I didn't realize is that behind me, like I was like the match, and what was behind me was the wood. I always do a bad metaphor on every episode, but it's like what I didn't realize was behind me was like people who had been keeping tabs on Chrissie Teigen for years and receipts and had all of her creepy pedo tweets, and they just came all out with that. And I was like, hey, I'm just here to point out your deleted tweets. Like, I don't know all there is to know.
Yeah, it was funny because there was like an avalanche on her account, and Tommy got banned right away because he was always going back and forth with her. But
she would respond to him.
Yeah, Tommy would always go after her whenever there was like a pizza picture or with John Legend, and she would get upset. I mean, Tommy has the no mercy mafia behind him. There's there's people who don't really care about what kind of things they say, and so I wouldn't say they attacked her in any way, but they definitely didn't make her feel comfortable. And so Tommy started having hit pieces written about him. BuzzFeed came out and talked about him, and so we were launching our website right as football was starting. And so we have 4deep.com. We also have 4deepbets.com, where we provide picks and bets and all these kind of things for our subscribers. And as football was starting, we were launching with football because it was, it's one of the biggest betting sports there is, if not the biggest. And so we're launching, and Tommy gets banned the night before the NFL season starts on Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. So he's getting banned from everywhere. And within a few weeks of opening this company and getting memberships, subscriptions, taking payments, PayPal actually banned us, kept like 6 figures of our money still locked up to this day. And for no other reason than just we are Tommy G, No Mercy 4 Deep. And so they're holding up a lot of money, and we're trying to fight it. We have been banned from almost every platform that we've been on, especially Tommy G. I mean, he comes up with all different kinds of names, and one time he came up with a name for Twitter, and it had something to do with the CEO of Twitter and diddling little boys, and I don't think he was too fond of his username.
And then did that, because I was wondering, like, does Tommy tend to get banned, suspended for the same reason, or has it been like a little different on each platform?
It's a little different. I mean, that first one was a coordinated hit. It was within a couple hours of the hit pieces coming out on him.
Damn. So they had a list. They had loaded up. Yeah.
It was absolutely deplatformed, and there was really he got Alex Jones, and so it was all at the same time. It was all different platforms, podcasts, social media, banking. We got hit everywhere, and so as a new company that's launching, and we have our certain ways of getting out to the public, right? And one of the biggest ways was obviously Tommy G's accounts. He had over 350,000 followers between Twitter and Instagram, banned the night before we're launching our company, and has been banned ever since. It really, really put a damper on our plans. We kept pushing forward, and we still are where we are. We have a brand new website launching within the next week or two. So that's going to be great and awesome and new. But it's been a bumpy road. We've had hosting providers, limited, throttle our stuff. We have whenever we start to launch any kind of promotions, our site will go down for a little bit before we launch anything. It's really wild. I don't know how to even explain it. I'm no hacker. I can't show you the logs of who's doing what, but when you see every single account that he has all get banned within an hour of each other the day before we're launching our company, it's not a coincidence.
And like, I'm just thinking about like PayPal and all that money. Is like, can they legally hold all your money like that?
They can do whatever they want to do. They can say it's for something. I believe they use the excuse that it was for gambling, but that's not what we do. We are not a site that takes bets in any way. We provide informational context. So the excuses that they were using were not correct. And I'm not sure if you know this, but we have been banned from 15 separate Discord servers that we've created.
Right. That's what I wanted to talk to you about too, because that was like the big move was when Tommy G got banned off Twitter. He's like, okay, everyone. I think when he still had Instagram, it's like, we're moving to Discord. I think I was definitely on one of them at some
Everyone was
point.
in there.
Everybody's in there, like
Everyone.
hundreds of thousands of people, like so many people,
Mhm.
and they were fun too. And that's where people would listen to your podcast. I don't know if that was the only place
Right.
they were available, but people could go on. They were very interactive. So, like, why were you guys? Isn't Discord supposed to be like a place of free speech? Like, what
It's
happened
not.
there?
It's not. So at the time, when that was happening, we really started to blow the Discord up around the election time, and we were throwing these big parties and having huge voice chats, and there was tens of thousands of people in there, and Crystal Tini and IET and Romanelli and everybody's in there talking, and then we get banned. And then we create a new one, and then that 30,000 people drops down to like 20, and then we get banned and create a new one, and then eventually over time people don't find it, they don't know where to go, they forget about it, and so we just kind of gave up on Discord, and I found a new platform that was almost like a Discord clone, and they were creating it for the gaming community, and it was not as recognizable. So I thought that if we go on that platform, and it's actually a pretty decent platform, that we'd be able to kind of hide under the radar. And we've been over there ever since. I hope this doesn't get us banned from there. But yeah, no, we've been on a platform called Gilded. You can find the link on 4deep.com. We have a little email collector there as well for when the site goes up if you want to sign up there. And so we're hanging out in Gilded. That's where we have our political conspiratorial chat. And then we do have a Discord version, but that's for our paid subscribers thing. So we kept them separate because when you have the conspiracy politics stuff in one area, no matter what, that's going to get shut down. But when you try to kind of hide under the scenes, I'm not going to say what the name of it is, but when you kind of, do what you can to not get noticed in certain ways, then you fly under the radar. And that's what we've been able to do. But if we wanted to have the 4D politics news kind of stuff back on Discord, we'd get banned right away.
Yeah, it's so tricky, and I'll talk to so many people that are like, you know what, we gotta quit Twitter, we gotta quit Facebook, we have to quit all of these like the regular normie social media platforms, and like I've gone back and forth between like wanting to and not wanting to, and then I feel like I've ultimately settled on like stay on everything as long as you can, and without compromising yourself too much or your ideas, like try to change certain words while still getting your point across, just to not make yourself so much of a target. I think that's a good way around censorship. And yeah, always have backups and using BitChute and like, I know it's annoying, like, oh, there's so many different apps, there's so many different platforms, but it's better than putting all your eggs in one basket, and then that basket
and if you look at my like social media accounts, it's Twitter, Gab, Minds, Patreon, Rumble, this, and just goes on and on and on. And because I've just signed up for everything, just assuming I would get banned from it. But the way I feel about it is, would I love to not be involved in that whole Twitter garbage, basically just dumpster fire that's there? Yeah, but that's where the battlefield of ideas are, and I would rather trying to be influential there, where I know most of the normies are, and still post on my Gab and my Minds and Telegram and Rumble and all these different places. I still try to do as much as possible, but at the end of the day, Twitter is where the arguments are going to be. That's where the mainstream is. And honestly, I really have fun like writing Brian Stelter's a potato on his comments.
Yes, that is what Twitter is for. And even though you may or may not be capped at like 15 point something followers, I think even if you reach one person, if you help open up one person's mind, it's worth it. So, and of course, like, yeah, for me, it never hurts to plug your dates.
I was at a flag football tournament on Sunday, and one of the referees comes up. He's like, Ben? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, hey, man, I love your Instagram. I just can't say anything.
Oh my God. How does it make you feel when people say stuff like that to you?
I mean, it's a good feeling. It's like reinforcing, because over the past few years, a lot of people who called me crazy and dismissed me earlier on in life have come back to me and say, you were right about a lot of that. We should have listened. Like, I mean, something as simple as even people in Texas just stocking up on food and water and just laughing at that and joking at that. Like, that was something I was saying to people, is just make sure you have enough in case of emergencies. Oh no, that's crazy. No, nothing's ever going to happen. Just little things like that. And it's definitely a good feeling. But at the end of the day, like it's not why I do what I do. I do what I do just so I can get my point of view out there. And anyone who really does feel like-minded, they can at least feel that someone's speaking for them, even if they never get to meet them.
Do you feel like you lost a lot of friends through your kind of awakening and, you know, talking about, right, your unpopular opinions and maybe some of these like conspiracy theories that are hard for some people to swallow?
Well, I would say that I didn't necessarily lose many friends. The people who were my real friends were in my circle anyway and would talk about those kind of things. But the way that I would portray it as, I wasn't able to make as many deep connections with other people who could have been friends throughout my life because of my unpopular opinions and just the way that I approach things. I'm very unique and very stubborn, and I like to expound on my ideas and research. And if I think I'm right and I believe I'm right, you know, I'm going to be a little argumentative about it. And the way that I feel is I always try to bring as many facts and a researched perspective as possible. And then I just get called racist or Nazi or this or that. And so
Oh, it's so
it makes it
easy.
difficult.
It's so easy to call somebody a racist or a Nazi than it is to dispute their claims or, you know, take their ideas down. It's like
You're
it's
white, you're racist.
oh yeah. Oh, look at that. So easy. All done. On to the
Yes,
next thing. What's for lunch? How is your working relationship with Tommy? Like how would you explain like your dynamic together on the podcast?
Tommy's a psychopath and I'm very measured. And so the way that I explain the difference between Tommy and I, and listen, Tommy is a brilliant guy. Don't let him play that dumb role on you. Tommy's a really smart guy. He knows what he's doing. You know, he has a lot of wild theories, but he digs deep into it. And at the end of the day, when he's wrong, he'll say he's wrong. But so Tommy, the way that I like to, define the difference between us is Tommy's very volatile and I'm very smooth down the middle. So Tommy's like a stock that has really big highs and lows and peaks. And me, I'm like the one that just cruises along. So I don't have a lot of these, big highs. I don't have a lot of lows. But Tommy, he is everything that you see and hear on camera. He is the most charismatic person that I may have met in my life. He just attracts people to him. And he has this kind of energy that honestly, I can't replicate. Even if I wanted to, you know how you could kind of portray yourself as someone else and mimic their words and their cadence. You can't with Tommy. He's such a unique individual. And he's proven how, what his value is to this community. He has grown from an account of 30,000, from DFS and stocks to over 250,000 on Twitter by being a voice and being a leader. And, I wouldn't be at this company without Tommy. And so me and Tommy have a long history. Whenever you have a long history like that, we fight like brothers, and you'll see that in the community and that we've dealt with. And it's just kind of the relationship that we have. And there's some bickering, there's some back and forth, but it's always fun and love. And he is a riot. He's hysterical. And really, he is who you hear him on the mic.
I really miss like his long Twitter threads. Like he would do like a 20-part thread. Like I really admire the way he like blew open the Wayfair stuff, because he just put in so much research and he was able to prove that the spines of the books on the bookcases were doctored, airbrushed to say like creepy, basically like creepy kind of pedo or like spirit cooking type stuff. And just like was, I think, I don't know, the first person I saw really like put a lot of it together. Like why, for what reason would these pillows be 25 grand?
Wow.
Yeah. And he just like, sometimes he'll text me at like 6, 7 in the morning. Never gone to sleep. But then at the same token, like I'm trying to get him to like do a podcast or come to a show or something, and I won't hear from him for like weeks or months. And then it's like, all right, he needs a handler. Okay,
That's
so
Tommy.
maybe you're his handler.
Yeah, I tried to be. It's very difficult. I mean, honestly, like he is his own man. Like he, how he does those really long Twitter threads. He goes into these rabbit holes. Like you said, he'll text you at 7 in the morning every day, and then you won't hear from him for 2 weeks.
Yep.
But with Tommy, he just goes as deep as you can. And when he figured out that Wayfair thing, it exploded and more viral than anything I've seen in this community in terms of from natural organic reach to the biggest accounts tweeting it. And I
Wow.
even had my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so way after this Wayfair thing, talking about Wayfair. And Ben, did you hear about this Wayfair thing and the selling child? I'm like,
Did I hear about it?
found that story. He
Yeah.
broke that story. Like, I'm very well aware. So it's so funny how far reaching that was, and that it really came right from Tommy, his thirst for finding rabbit holes, pouring oil down the sides of it and just diving in head first.
He's like a bizarro. He's kind of a wild man, and he's not as polished or polite, and he just like kind of lets it out.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if he's on.
And he brought an entire community together by himself. It is the power of that man, and it's something that you can't replicate, you can't practice, you can't teach. And so Tommy G is Tommy G.
And Ben Jammin is Ben Jammin. I mean,
Ben
like,
Jammin is Ben Jammin.
Yeah, you're a really like a crucial part of that pod as well. And as for somebody who is into decentralization, it is only now. Oh God. Okay, we're back. We're back. I really got to fix this internet cord. Okay, so as somebody who is into decentralization, it's only natural that you would be curious of cryptocurrency, and I am appreciative of anybody who knows who's a specialist in it, because I'm just like, I'm kind of clueless about the whole thing, and it does make me kind of nervous because I feel like it does play into, like, it's exploded. The popularity of crypto has exploded, like, in the mainstream, I think just in the last, I don't know, year, but I know it's been simmering and going on long before that. I want to know how you kind of came to get into it, and I also want to know, like, why this is so important right now.
Well, I found out about it years ago, and I'm just another story of wish I would have put more money in at the time, but I did pretty well early on. I put a decent amount into Bitcoin. I saved up some money, and right around the peak of when it was 20K a few years back, I actually sold off almost all of the crypto that I had to buy a house, and didn't end up buying the house. Didn't end up putting the money back in crypto. Not all of it. I put some back. And so
like I went to Vegas.
Yeah. I did sell close to the top of the 20K, and I started buying back in around the 20K mark again when it started coming back up. So I missed some opportunities there because of lifestyle changes I was trying to make that just didn't pan out in the right way, but it's okay. I took a risk, and it didn't work out with the same amount of upside that I wanted. But in terms of decentralization and what I see happening and why I am so enthusiastic and optimistic about this space is not just crypto, which has become more mainstream with Elon Musk talking about, and Chamath and all these people talking about Bitcoin and Dogecoin and Ethereum and all this. So what I'm most excited about with this is NFTs, and they're called non-fungible tokens. And I just recently discovered it over the past couple months. I found it through a product called NBA Top Shot, which you buy and sell these almost digital trading sports cards and collectibles. And so I found this digital art collectible space called NFTs through that. And it really opened my eyes to what the power of blockchain truly is and how much can be done. And it's so much more than just a currency or a token that can be bought and sold. It's a collectible that can be created as a piece of art, a song, a video of us talking can be turned into what's called an NFT, and you can sell that moment of that NFT. So there's so much going on. And so what I'm looking to do personally is I'm not an artist, and I'm creative, but just not in that kind of way. And so one of my best friends, his name's Rob Levy. He's a pixel artist, and so he goes by Rob Levy Pixels on all the platforms. And he is one of the most talented people I know. I grew up with him. I slept on his couch when I was trying to find jobs in the city, and I would act in some of his screenplays and help him, go through headshots for videos and movies he was trying to make. And he became this pixel artist animator. And so I'm trying to get him into this space, of this NFT space. And so what you can do with this is you can sell these digital artworks, and they're authentic to you, and they're on the blockchain. And They're just millions and millions of dollars going through these things. And in my opinion, this is the next revolution, industrial revolution almost, because it's going to give people in remote areas who didn't have access to a stable economy in the past. So people can find their way to an internet connection and maybe buy a Bitcoin here or there and grow with that. And, you buy a piece of a Bitcoin and the value goes up, you make some money from that. But if you have a piece of art, a video, a song or something, and you want to memorialize it and sell it on the blockchain, you can get royalties for life from that. For every single resale, you can get 10% of that resale, whether I sell something to you and you sell it to someone else, they sell it to someone else, I get 10% from each sale after I create it. Wow. And so if you think about what this can do for the redistribution of wealth, and not anything socialistic, right? Like I'm not a socialist, but I do believe in redistribution of wealth in this fashion of decentralization, because some kid sitting in a barn in the middle of North Dakota who may not have a thriving economy near him, whose his family for generations has built chairs and tables and out of wood and very rigorous manual labor every day of their lives. Instead of creating a chair multiple times a day, this kid can just draw a chair. He could paint a picture of a chair. You make a video of a chair, put it online to sell, make one version of it, sell it 1,000, 10,000 times, and get royalties for the rest of their life. And this is something.
Why would somebody buy a picture of a chair, though? Like, how does that work?
Art. Why would somebody buy anything? Someone places value on something. And what's really cool about this, right? What if that person becomes the next Picasso and you were the one to invest in him at a young age? So now when that piece of artwork, his first one ever made,
it's an original. Yeah.
I was actually giving this analogy on a Clubhouse this morning in an NFT crypto chat. And this is one of my favorite things that I could even think of for an analogy, because instead of building a chair per hour, per day, and blood, sweat, and tears, you can build it one time in the piece of an artwork and in the piece of a painting and sell that. And someone may want to invest in you as a person to help you out, and you just grow and become a behemoth. And that first artwork is now worth $10,000 and I spent $5 on it. I have an emotional connection and an investment to not just the community, not just a piece of art, but that person who created that artwork. And so now I bought that from him. So it says bought from painter XYZ on my collectible. So it's almost like a signature. It's authentic. And I'm supporting that person. So a good example would be, imagine when finding Justin Bieber on YouTube when he was 13, when he was singing in his bathroom, videotaping himself, his mom. I'd
probably get flagged for it. Yeah.
Right. And you wanted to invest in him because you thought he was talented, and you bought one of his little videos. That video would be worth millions of dollars now. And you would invest in him as a person and an artist. And you could say verifiably, I found him first, not just I was around, I saw him back then. It's verifiable that I was one of the very first people to discover him. It's just one example of the type of impact that this kind of stuff can have.
So it allows like regular people to be kind of like talent scouts and art collectors.
Yep. And you can invest. So here's another good example. So do you know who Logan Paul is?
Yes.
So Logan Paul has been opening these Pokemon trading card packs. And so
Yeah, the ones from the McDonald's
you saw that?
Happy Meals. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
he's
may or may
opening
not
these
have gone to
trading card packs, right?
McDonald's. Yeah.
Videotaping himself doing it. And so people are watching him. He's getting views, probably advertisements, making money from that. He turns those videos. I got something weird on my head. He turns those videos into NFTs and sold those videos for 5, 10, 15 grand a piece.
What? But who would buy that? Like
A
someone who
Logan
just
Paul
likes.
fan who has a ton of money because they invested in crypto when they were 12 and they got billions of dollars now. So why not? The crypto space is insanity.
So now that person, but they're not the only person to own this video.
It depends. So you can create a one of one, something that's entirely unique. Nothing will ever be made about it again. Or you can create one of 10,000 and sell as many copies as it goes up until 10,000. It's really up to the creator. It's up to them for what they want to sell, when they want to sell, how much they want to sell it for. And then the market will tell you how much something's worth depending on how much someone's willing to pay for it.
I'm so fascinated to see like how this turns into like how this would affect like the porn world, like this completely turn like an OnlyFans on its head or like a Pornhub, or it's like it just seems like with this formula or this setup that like you can make so much more off your like little videos.
Absolutely. There's a girl on Twitter. She calls herself Crypto Babe, and she's involved in Top Shot. She calls herself Top Shot Babe, Crypto Babe, and so that's like her handles on there. And so what she's doing is she's actually making these NFTs of herself in like lingerie and kind of just like being a little promiscuous about it. And she's going to be selling those as trading cards. And so she already has people interested in this. And so what she has NBA Top Shot moments. So she might give someone a moment for one of her cards and starting this trading atmosphere. And it's just really, really unique for all the different types of things that you're seeing. And when you have, a guy like Mark Cuban getting involved, and he created an NFT of himself shouting out one of his fans, and his fan bought that from him. So there's so many different applications that it's endless. But blockchain, I am more optimistic and bullish about anything I've ever been in my life. I am about blockchain.
And can they take that? Can they take those videos and like could you share it on like a Twitter, for example, or it can only remain like in that world?
Well, you can showcase what you have. Like people buy these things called crypto punks and their avatars. And so they put them as their Twitter profile picture. So you can showcase them. But when it comes down to proving who owns them, you have the verifiable proof. So you can own a Mona Lisa and someone can take a picture of it and put it on their Twitter, but they can't prove that they actually own it. But the same thing with regular trading cards, right? So a sporting trading card, because I could show you a rookie Michael Jordan card and flex on you. You'll be so impressed that I have this, but you don't realize it's my dad's. I took it from his closet and I can't actually prove that I own it. But with blockchain, you can. With NBA Top Shot, you can. And with NFTs, you can. And so it's really the next frontier. And you're going to be seeing a lot of different things. You're going to be seeing houses and real estate done on blockchain. You're going to see bonds and hedge funds on blockchain. And there's this whole new movement called the whale community. And what they do is they curate these rare and exclusive NFTs from all over the web, and they turned it almost into a hedge fund. They created their own cryptocurrency token that you could buy. And so as their curated portfolio grows in value, so does their token. So if you buy their token, you're funding them to buy more. And as their value increases, so does yours. So you're investing in this social cryptocurrency community. And it's just incredible to see all the different things that are happening now.
This just seems like the perfect marriage, like between capitalism, I don't want to say and socialism, but like, yeah, a decentralized kind of like for the people system that the powers that be possibly will have a harder time fucking with.
It's almost like what Eric July was saying on your show when he was anarcho-capitalism, right? That's not necessarily what I believe in, but I understand his perspective. And I think this, I don't want to speak for him in any way, but I think that this is kind of down that track of no government involvement, but a capitalistic nature. So like I was saying, some kid in the middle of nowhere can just put his artwork up on sale, and he doesn't need to go through the government. He can just have it sold, and some anonymous person can buy it and he can never know, or that person can buy it from him, make a big spectacle about it on Twitter. And now that kid's life has changed, and he's going to grow up making art for the rest of his life, doing what he loves to do and becoming wealthy in the process.
That's very cool. And this kid doesn't have to worry about like moving to a big city, getting the right agent, making the right connections. Like the amount of time I have spent in comedy, just like hanging out at the right places, trying to talk to the right people, commuting, just being in New York City. It's like, oh man, like that is very exciting, because it is kind of just, it takes opportunity and like truly gives everybody like an equal shot at it. I'm having a hard time like understanding, like, so this came out of NBA clips from the NBA that people would create. What is the point of buying one of these if you can just watch a highlight reel of like the NBA?
Well, so NFTs didn't start there. That was just my introduction to it, and they've been around for a few years. And so my real introduction to it was actually a platform created by the same company called Crypto Kitties. And you can buy and sell these digital cats, and you can breed them with each other and create offspring of these cats.
That's so cute.
Crazy. And so that was my introduction. It was created by the same company. I'm trying to get out of that. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. The green screen.
So it was created by the same company. That was my first introduction. And so that was a few years ago in like 2017. And then I started looking into this recently through Top Shot. And so like I was saying before, the difference between, trading cards and digital cards. So a trading card, why would you buy a piece of laminated cardboard that had a picture of your favorite player when you could download that picture online, right? And then when you have that card, you have to buy it from somewhere. It has to be shipped, kept in good condition. You can't lose it. If it's enough money, you get a certificate of authenticity. If it's not, you don't have one. So you can't even really prove the ownership. Wow. So if you want to sell that, shipping and handling fees, you have to find a buyer, you have to send it across the country, you have to wait for it, hope it doesn't get damaged or lost in the process. So I'm not saying there's no value to it. It's just, I think there's more value to something where not only can you see the play that happened instead of just the person, you could potentially be in the background of that video. If you were in the stands, you have authenticated your purchase, and it'll show that you are the owner. You can showcase this on your phone anywhere you go. You can have 1,000 of these. How many sporting cards you pull in your pocket and go to the store to show someone, like not the store, but wherever you are, you can advertise what you have. And so one of my predictions is in no time, there's going to be kids going to the club flexing their NBA Top Shot videos. Like, I got this $100,000 LeBron moment, and some are selling for $100,000, $200,000.
But why would you spend money on that if it's something that you could see at like on ESPN or something? Am I like super naive? I mean, me, it's like, why would you?
I completely understand. And it's about value and ownership. So you own this play from history. This is in your collection, your portfolio. And when you have the ability to not only own it, but watch the value increase in real time or decrease in real time, sell it immediately, whether you want to, be in the background of that video, have an emotional connection with that video because you watched it live. Maybe it's your favorite player or your favorite team. And you can download anything from the internet. You could take a picture of anything from the internet. But this is a community. This is an ecosystem of people doing the same thing. So some people collect it for collectibles. Some people buy it to make an investment for long term. And some people do it to make some money and flip it right now. So it's a market. It's essentially a stock market of digital videos for the NBA. And so they actually have partnerships already with the UFC, with Dr. Seuss, with Warner Music Group. With
Rest in peace, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. So this is going everywhere you can think of. My predictions are they're eventually going to hit Survivor and Bachelor and American Idol.
Wow.
And so you're going to have people collecting these moments, right? Like, why would you buy a Logan Paul video of him unboxing something where it's free on YouTube? It's about the ownership and being able to say, this is mine and I have this. And so, and in fact, NBA players are getting extremely involved and doing live streams of them opening packs and sending and gifting one of these things to a customer, or someone buys it from them. And now it shows you physically bought this from your favorite NBA player. It's almost like getting an autograph from him. And
Right.
so there's so much upside to this, besides the fact that they're going to be making video games about it. So you can use these moments as fantasy lineups. So there's a lot of
Cool.
application there. And I could honestly talk for hours and hours about this. So you may want to shut me up soon.
That's fascinating. Yeah, we could have done a whole episode on this, except I would have felt like more and more stupid because I've been like, wow, that just like this is a world I know nothing about. But it's really fascinating and that's really cool. And decentralization gets me hot and bothered too. So it's very exciting.
Nice.
Ben, what's coming up for you? Where can people follow you, support you, all that good stuff?
So we are at 4deepbets.com right now. We have 4deep.com that's being created, and 4deepbets.com, we are migrating to a new website within the next week or two. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to do a huge launch for it. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and almost all social media at xbenjaminx. And then also, like I said, my focus right now into the immediate and long-term future is going to be NFTs and blockchain. I come from a technical background. I went to school for web development and programming, and this is where I'm guiding all of my intention and direction. So I would say that look out for 4dbets.com, and then my buddy Rob Levy Pixels. I'm telling you now, he is going to be one of the biggest people in the NFT art community, and you heard it here first.
Ooh, I'm going to check him out. Ben, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody follow him right now. Check out the No Mercy podcast if you're into conspiracies, political stuff, and 4Deep if you're into gambling and all that good stuff. Ben, thank you so much. I hopefully will meet you in real life one day, and we'll do another episode sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me so much. And by the way, March 20th, you said TIFFs?
Yes, you should come.
I was down the block from there today, so I'll be there.
Oh, wow. And I know Sam Tripoli is going to be there.
Yep. And my owner, Mike and Tommy, they're good friends with Tripoli and Romanelli. So
Mike Romanelli, he
Yep.
runs TIFFs, and talk about like you meet a guy like Romanelli and you're like, wow, thank God this guy owns like a comedy club, a comedy space, because he just gets it. Like for him, it's like a labor of love. And it's like, it's not often that you meet somebody, some club owners, they just like, they're just whatever, doing it to make a buck. They don't really care. But he's like passionate about comedy and free speech and a good time. So if you're in the New Jersey area, definitely check out TIFFs Ale House. Absolutely. And see me there March 20th. Thank you so much, Ben.
I'll be there.
Bye.
Bye.